بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين، سيما الإمام المبين وغياث المضطر المستكين والكهف الحصين، مولانا وسيدنا وولي أمرنا الحجة ابن الحسن، فداه أرواح العالمين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك وأناخت برحلك. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا، ورحمة الله وبركاته. قال الله العظيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا عليكم أنفسكم لا يضركم من ضل إذا اهتديتم. Take charge of your own soul. A deviant will not be able to harm you if you are guided. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Please recite aloud salawat. In honor of Lady Zainab, a second loud salawat. In the love of Lady Fatima, a third louder salawat. You probably noticed yesterday that we were living in our own unique world, very different from everybody else in the outside world. And their life didn't impact ours. We were mourning, crying, in a different state of mind than everyone else in the society. I remember a couple of years ago, Ashura coincided with Christmas. I was in London. While everyone else was celebrating, partying, we were mourning, and we were crying for Abu Abdullah. This is the power of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, creating an atmosphere within an atmosphere. And there is a barrier in between these two atmospheres. You could feel the presence of a partition. Their way of life doesn't impact us. They could do whatever they want to do. But we're living in our own unique world. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. And that's how it should be. The hadith says, كونوا في الناس. You're living with everybody else in the society. You're a member of this society. ولا تكونوا معهم. But you shouldn't follow their norms. They shouldn't impose their own culture, their own atmosphere on you. You should create your own habitat, your own atmosphere, suitable with your ideals, with your principles, suitable with the ideals of your children, with your family, and different from everybody else. That's how it should be. Now, during the 10 days of Muharram, we lived in a special atmosphere. The atmosphere of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. We were inspired by Imam al-Hussein and his companions, and that's what created that atmosphere. But that should always be the case. We should always be living in an atmosphere different from the atmosphere everybody else is living in. A Husseini atmosphere. Now, if our youth were on the same page as, say, Ali al-Akbar, alayhi salam, every desire in the world would look insignificant and worthless. The sacrifice that he made is unmatched. If our women, if the girls that follow Lady Zainab were on the same page as Lady Zainab, they would never weaken in the face of any challenge, in the face of any tragedy. They have the examples of Zainab and Kulthum, who were on the day of Ashura with Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and witnessed the aftermath, which wasn't any less dramatic than Ashura itself. Now, when you look at the life of Zainab alayhi salam, when she went to Yazid, she gave a sermon. Imagine, he's a tyrant who was the ruler of 50 of our countries today, who had killed her brothers, her children, the companions of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. What was the first thing that Lady Zainab brought up? She praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah, her grandfather, and Amir al-Mu'mineen. Then she said to him, أَمِنَ الْعَدْلِ يَبْنَ الطُّلَقَاءِ, is it fair, the son of the one that was freed? Because when the Prophet conquered Mecca, he was able to arrest or kill the leaders of the unbelievers and the infidels, like Abu Sufyan. But what the Prophet did was he freed them. He said, اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. So she reminds him of the day the Prophet conquered Mecca and how he freed the grandfather of Yazid, the father of Yazid, Muawiyah. أَمِنَ الْعَدْلِ يَبْنَ الطُّلَقَاءِ. Do you think that's justice? تَخْدِيرُكَ حَرَائِرَكَ. While your women, your daughters, your wife, they get to wear a scarf, they're covered up. وَسَوْقَكَ بَنَاتْ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ سَبَايَا. While you are parading the daughters of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam in 40 different cities, يَتَصَفَّحُ وُجُوهَهُنَّ الْقَرِيبُ وَالْبَعِيدُ. While everyone is celebrating and scanning the faces of the daughters of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Is this justice? Look at how Zainab treats this taghiya, this tyrant. She said to him that if destiny brought me to Sham to talk to you, I belittle you. إني لأستصغر قدرك وأستعظم تقديرك. Do you think that I see you as a ruler, as a leader? No, I belittle you. You are worthless. وأستعظم تقديرك. So this led to a revolution in the city of Sham. So Yazid said, what do you want now? She said, we want the maqana' back. We want the scarves back. We want the hijabs back. Give it to us. So this was the concern of Lady Zainab alayhi salam. Now, a woman, a Shia woman who has someone like Zainab would never yield to any pressure in the society. She's got someone like Zainab who was so brave, who was so courageous, and withstood all the pressures. And on the day of Ashura, after she witnessed all the tragedies, all the calamities, witnessed the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, Imam Zayn al-Abidin says that she sat down and she prayed Salatul Layl min Julus. Now, any pressure that we're subjected to in any society will not come close to the pressures that Lady Zainab was subjected to. But look at her iman, look at her faith, look at her courage, look at her adherence to her faith. So if you have an example like Lady Zainab, you shouldn't weaken in the face of any challenge in life. This is what we need. During the 10 days of Muharram, you got a crash course in religion, because Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam implemented the religion of Islam in its entirety on the day of Ashura. Even visiting the sick, which is a mustahab, something recommended in Islam. When someone becomes sick, it's mustahab that you visit them and you ask them to do dua for you because their dua is answered. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam went in the middle of the war. He went to visit Imam Zayn al-Abidin. Imam Zayn al-Abidin says that on the day of Ashura in the afternoon, my father came inside the tent while blood was gushing out of his body. وَهُوَ يَشْخُبُ دَمًا. So I said to him, Father, where is Abbas? He said, Abbas is killed. Where is Ali al-Akbar? He was always with you. He said, Ali al-Akbar is also dead. I'm all alone. And then he said, in no time you will be my heir. I will be killed as well. So he visits his son Imam Zayn al-Abidin because he was sick. He implemented religion in its entirety. He established salat. He made all the sacrifices. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. You got a crash course in religion. But don't think that with the end of the season, you could go back to your previous lifestyle. You should change. All the inspirational stories that you heard become a hujjah on you on the day of judgment. I told you the story of Yusuf, the story of Maryam in one of the lectures, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring them and will compare them to you. They were human beings just like you, but they did not yield to pressure. They did not fall into sin. You should imitate them. You have the examples of Ali al-Akbar, Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan of our youth. Just learn from Qasim ibn al-Hasan, who was only 13. He was a teenager. He wasn't a ma'soom. He wasn't an infallible. But these examples, these are inspirational stories for everyone to learn from. Now, just like Lady Zainab, after the day of Ashura, the battle started. Now with us, after the day of Ashura, you go to the battlefield. Not to fight enemies with a sword, but to fight your own nafs, to fight your own ego. You should start after the day of Ashura. Yesterday was the day of Ashura. You learned a lot. We examined the life of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Now it's time to apply the teachings of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Because as I said, it wasn't a struggle between the Hashemites and the Umayyads. It wasn't a struggle between two tribes. It was a struggle between truth and falsehood. It was a struggle between vice and virtue. It was a struggle between haqq and batil. And if you want to side with Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, you should fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَكُونُوا مَعَ الصَّادِقِينَ. Now what do we need to do? The hadith says that if you don't progress in life, then you're going backwards. Why? Because our life is coming to an end. We are counting our days. An acquaintance a couple of months ago was diagnosed with a severe and aggressive form of cancer. And the first thing that the relatives would do, or the sick himself would do, is to look up people like him to see what's the average lifespan for people with the same ailment, people with the same disease. They call it prognosis. Now, they looked it up, and the prognosis for that acquaintance was from 3 to 5 years. This is how much they get to live. I thought to myself that each and every one of us has a prognosis. For them, they think that the clock starts to tick after they're afflicted with that disease. But for us, the clock is ticking. We have a prognosis as well. Even though we don't know what's going to happen to us in the future, even though we think that we're healthy now, but the fact of the matter is, we are dying as well. We have a prognosis. It could be in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, 30 years' time. The hadith says, "Man tasawa yawmah fahuwa maghboon." Life is coming to an end. There was a man who used to sell ice, and he used to call out, "Come and buy from me. Have mercy on me because my asset is melting." My asset is melting because he's selling ice. in the middle of summer in Iraq. So this is our story as well. Our life is coming to an end. فَمَنْ تَسَاوَى يَوْمَهُ فَهُوَ مَغْبُونَ. You finished Ashura. We finished Ashura together. We finished a level. We need to move to the next level. But if you move one step forward and one step backward, then you haven't achieved anything. Because the hadith says, مَنْ يَهْدِمْ وَيَبْنِي لَا يَبْقَى لَهُ بِنَاء. If a person builds and demolishes, if you lay a brick and then destroy that brick, continue doing that, لَا يَبْقَى لَهُ بِنَاء. You will not be able to build a building. That's our story as well. We become religious, or we develop this attachment to Abu Abdullah during these 10 days. But after the 10 days, we leave everything behind. And that's wrong, because next year we need to move to a different level, to the next level, like climbing a ladder. We need to progress in 3 main areas in life. The first area is taqwa. Maybe I was a muttaqi last year. I feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I was able to control my eyes. I was able to control my tongue. But what about this year? I need to make progress. So what was the extent of my taqwa last year? I need to make progress in the field of taqwa. I need to have more taqwa this year than last year. For example, if last year I didn't backbite, but I didn't mind listening to people backbiting others, this year I should refrain from listening to people backbiting others. If I was able to control my eyes last year, I should be able to control my thoughts this year. As Isa alayhi salam says, that the thought of committing a sin is like smoke to fire. What would impel people to commit sin? The thought of the sin. Otherwise, if you don't think about committing a sin, no one's going to force you to commit the sin. So you should refrain from even thinking about committing the sin. Now, there are certain sins that are provoked. We have the desire to commit the sin. But there are other sins that don't have this desire. But if you think about it, the desire is created. The urge is created. So Isa alayhi salam says that the thought of the sin is like smoke is to fire. So I should examine my life. The hadith says that every night before you go to sleep, you should go through your actions and deeds throughout the day. What did I do? How did I treat my parents? What are the things that I said? What are the things that I thought of? What are my shortcomings, the things that I had to do and I didn't do? You think about them, if you can write them down, and then try to refrain from the sins that you committed, and try to do more of the good that you carried out during the day for 40 days. For 40 days. People follow certain diets to lose weight, but there is little focus on spirituality. Now, this is one of the best methods to boost your spirituality. Every night before you go to sleep, spend only 5 minutes thinking about the things that you did. How you treated your spouse, how you treated your parents, the challenges that you faced, how you responded and reacted to these challenges. So this is the first field. How much taqwa did you have last year? You should increase your taqwa this year. And you should increase your taqwa next year. This is how you climb the ladder of spirituality. The second area that we need to progress in, otherwise we'll lag behind and we'll be moving backward, is in the field of knowledge. The verse in the Quran says, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. The people that have knowledge would fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise you will not fear God. Otherwise you will not practice piety. Let me give you a few examples. For example, in the dispute between a husband and a wife, why should any of the two parties make concessions? Why? But if you have knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the knowledge will tell you that the way you treat the people under you, the way you treat your wife, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will treat you. If you are forgiving, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you. But if you hold them accountable for everything that they do, when they wrong you, they have to rub it in their face that you committed this mistake, as opposed to the guidelines from our imams, like Imam Zayn al-Abidin, who says that a woman could commit 70 mistakes, could wrong you 70 times every day, and you should still be forgiving. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, وَدَارُهُنَّ عَلَى كُلِّ حَالٍ. You should always be considerate to them, because the way you treat them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will treat you. And if there is a dispute, you have either the option of being an oppressor or being oppressed. Usually people say, why should I be oppressed? But the hadith says that let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala support you. You don't have to become the victor in any dispute. Let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do the work for you. فَإِنَّ انتصاري لك خير من انتصارك لنفسك. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supports you, it's better than you trying to win in that battle. This is why the hadith says, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. We're usually selfish, as I mentioned one night. But if you realize that if you do good to others, this good will return to you. This good will return to you. This is knowledge. This is knowledge. And this will change our attitude. This will change the way we deal with other people. And the third field is وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Good deeds. How many good deeds did you carry out last year? You should improve on your good deeds this year in two main fields. The first field is sincerity. Try to acquire ikhlas in your a'mal. The second field is with respect to the quality of your a'mal. First of all, you should see what your priority is. Maybe your priority is to take care of your mother instead of going to Karbala. Maybe, who knows? Because the hadith says that a wise person is the person that would be able to discern between a good deed and a better deed, and would be able to discern between a bad deed and a worse deed. So you should strike a balance between all the options that you have, and see what your priority is in life and improve. For example, if you prayed only the obligatory prayers last year, you should make progress this year, and instead of just doing the wajibat, start to do ta'qibat after the salawat. If you look at some of the rewards that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives when you do certain ta'qibat, this istighfar, two lines after Salat al-Asr, the hadith says that Allah will order the two angels that write our a'mal to rip that book. You can start from scratch. استغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأسأله أن يتوب علي توبة عبد ذليل خاضع مسكين مستجير لا يملك لنفسه نفعا ولا ضرا ولا موتا ولا حياة. You, by uttering these words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will order the angel that writes all the vice, all the bad deeds, to rip that book. كائنا ما كان. No matter how many bad deeds you had performed on that day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will order the angel to rip it. Now we should take advantage of these opportunities that we have. So you should study your life in the past and make progress. Otherwise, you're going backward. Now, when Imam al-Hussein was killed, the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad and Umar ibn Sa'ad, they spent the night burying the dead of the army of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. And they left the bodies of Abu Abdullah and his companions naked on the sand dunes of Karbala. Until, like today, the 11th of Muharram, they had to leave. They had to go to the city of Kufa. Now, perhaps the most difficult thing for Zainab was to leave Abu Abdullah on the sand dunes of Karbala. Why? Because Lady Zainab and Imam al-Hussein, they were only 2 years apart. And when Fatima al-Zahra passed away, when she was killed, Lady Zainab had a motherly figure at home. There's a hadith, Amir al-Mu'mineen says that Lady Zainab is like my mother to me, the same way Fatima was like the mother of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So they were always together. And Lady Zainab never ever left Abu Abdullah. She was always with him. Her husband, Abdullah ibn Ja'far, was in the city of Medina. She left her husband with her children. Although the brother of Imam al-Hussein, Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, was in the city of Medina. He didn't join Imam al-Hussein. Even though the Imam delivered the sermon and he said to the Hashemites that anyone that joins me will be martyred, and anyone that doesn't join me, لم يبلغ الفتح. This was a duty for all of them to join the Imam, except for some that were exempt from the Imam's order. So Lady Zainab leaves her husband Abdullah ibn Ja'far behind in the city of Medina. She joins Abu Abdullah. Now she has to leave the Imam while the Imam is mutilated. The Imam is unburied, lying on the sand dunes of Karbala. This was a very difficult thing for Lady Zainab to do. Umar ibn Sa'd, may Allah curse him, he said that the caravan of the captives should go through the battlefield to witness and see all the bodies, the disfigured bodies in Karbala, to add salt to the injury, to add to their agony. So they were about to leave Karbala. Sukaina says that I saw my auntie Zainab. She threw herself from the back of the camel and started to talk to a body that didn't have a head. Now they couldn't distinguish between the bodies because they were disfigured, mutilated, they were all naked in Karbala. So I said, Amma Zainab, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Now I don't know what made Zainab identify the body of Abu Abdullah, but maybe it was because Abu Abdullah al-Hussein had all the arrows, had all the rocks and pebbles and all the swords, a pile of swords and daggers, because a فرقة بالحجارة, a group would throw pebbles at the Imam, a group would throw daggers at the Imam, a group would throw arrows at the Imam, and a group would use swords on the Imam. So the body with the most arrows was the body of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. She said, Amma, man tuhaddithin? Who are you talking to? She said that this is the body of your father Hussein. So Sukaina throws herself from the back of the camel to come and talk to her father, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. أبا من الذي أيتمني على صغر سني. Oh Father Hussein, who did this to you? Oh Father Hussein, who made me an orphan? Ya Abu Abdullah. Now she has been orphaned. How do you treat orphans? How do you treat orphans? Let me tell you how you treat orphans. When Fatima al-Zahra passed away, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen shrouded her. As he was about to tie the last knot of the shroud, he called, Ya Zainab, Ya Hassan, Ya Hussein, come and say goodbye to your mother. They came. Imam al-Hassan would say, oh mother, please respond to me, I am your beloved son Hassan. Imam al-Hussein would, son, please respond to me, I am your dear son Hussein. Then all of a sudden they hear a voice saying, Irfa'huma ya Ali, lift them, oh Ali, because they have made all the angels in heavens cry and lament for that scene. It was difficult. يرفعهما يا علي. So Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, with utmost care and mercy, he lifts them, he carries them, he kisses them, he embraces them. But the orphans of Abu Abdullah, Sukaina, Lady Zainab, while they were on the body of Imam al-Hussein, Lady Zainab was saying, Akhi Abu Abdullah, if they give me the option to stay with you, I would remain with you even if the wolves of the desert eat my flesh. Then Umar ibn Sa'd orders the merciless men to come and pull them off from the body of Abu Abdullah and strike them with the back of the spears. أخي يا حسين عزيز علي أن أراك على الثرى. It's so difficult for me to see you lying on the sand dunes of Karbala, but عزيز عليك أن ترى اليوم ما بيا. What's more difficult is for you to see me like this, and if it wasn't for these na-mahram people looking, I would show you the bruises on my body because of all the lashes and all the whips, and because of the fires of the tent. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم والعاقبة للمتقين. Let's recite the verse in the Quran so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cures the sick together 5 times with one voice. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أمن يجيب أمن يجيب أمن يجيب